Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Today I wanted to talk about what new ships are incoming for the rest of 2020, what we know, what Cloud Imperium have been working on, what concepts we might see and more. So let's talk about what's on the roadmap first. For Alpha 3.11, potentially the end of September, that patch, we have the much anticipated MSR, the Mercury Star Runner, the multi-role cargo and data runner there. It's looking like a favourite for a lot of small groups of players to use. Will it have any of its data mechanics for data hauling when it launches? That's unlikely, but it is possible. We have seen various areas of the ship interior now. It's supposed to have lots of hidey holes and ways for the crew to get around sort of like inside if they get boarded and that sort of stuff. So some people didn't like the updated white box images of the exterior from the Invictus Flight Week holograms, saying the ship had become a bit too chunky, but we're not going to have to wait too long to actually see it in game. I'm expecting that ship to be extremely common and popular. I do think it's got a lot of hype around it. The 100 series is also planned for this patch. It's a new range of starter ships focusing on a bit more like luxury racing, a longer range sort of skew for the starters. The 100i base version, there's the 125A more combat version, and the 135C cargo version, although they are basically all just starter ships. I'm not massively excited by these personally, but I'll probably maybe use them as some shuttles in game for myself. They might be gems though, we'll have to wait and see until they're actually in our hands. For Q4, or the Alpha 3.12 patch on the roadmap, we currently have the newly revealed Tavaran Talon Light Fighter and its variant, the Shrike, which focuses more on missiles, that variant, with sort of like hit and run tactics for both of them. They are very interesting, single-seater glass cannon, agile, stealthy fighter type ships, and obviously they're Tavaran in nature, so they are, in this case, very bird-like, very avian, almost like feather-like. So that's what we know so far on the roadmap, but other ships are being worked on by Cloud Imperium, assumedly for Q4 patch for 3.12. They are the Hercules Starlifter, the C2. It's a big cargo ship, but it's also going to be very, very good at carrying vehicles, especially things like the Nova tank, and that should be also pretty good at landing planetside, the Hercules C2. The Constellation Taurus also has been seen in active development with its expanded cargo bay. Again, we've been waiting for the Taurus for a very long time. Although not a ship, but I do want to mention it because it's being worked on and incredibly important and sort of like adds to the function of the constellations, is the docking for the P52 and P72. The sort of like that's going to have an auto docking, auto undock feature, and they've been working on that, and it might be ready at the same time the Taurus is ready. It is also very possible we could see some straight to flyable new ships for 3.11 or 3.12, or some new concepts and vehicles by the end of 2020 as well. So what's been rumoured and what's likely? Well, recently we saw from a concierge newsletter something from RSI is coming. From that teaser, we don't actually know anything more beyond that. It might be a vehicle, it might be a ship, although there have been leaks about the RSI Odin, that being a pretty large gunship, which might be revealed and unveiled later this year. We know from the CitizenCon 2019 that Cloud Imperium have rough plans for a Xi'an cargo ship and a mobile refinery ship, which have yet to come to fruition. That mobile refinery ship, that could even be the new RSI ship, or RSI thing they're talking about. We just don't actually know, but we sort of do know that there is a mobile refinery ship planned for some manufacturer, and there is a RSI Odin gunship that has been rumoured. We do know that they want to flesh out the Xi'an for Squadron 42's needs, whatever those needs are, but as a major alien race in general, they need more economy and civilian ships, not just fighters. The last 3 months of the year are Star Citizen's big ticket push events, really. They make a huge amount of money here. Although CitizenCon has been cancelled for 2020, Cloud Imperium are still planning to do some form of celebration, and I would expect to see something new in-game, something new for where CitizenCon was around the 10th of October. I mean, it's not going to be CitizenCon, it's going to be, as I said, some form of in-game event thing, but we're not really sure exactly what. Yeah, maybe a new ship, maybe a variant, maybe a vehicle, something like that. It makes sense for them to do some form of sale there because it will make them money. Again, the end of November is the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo typically. This has almost every ship that's ever been on sale again, including some of the more rare ones and expensive ones like the Idris and Javelin, things like that. But there's almost always a couple of new ships and vehicles. Something might go straight to flyable here as well. That is to be expected. It's worth noting that Cloud Imperium have moved much more over to short-term concepts and straight to flyable sales. What I mean by that is there's not a long concept phase. They don't typically anymore, or at least they do this less. That's, let's say, because it doesn't preclude them doing it in the future, admittedly. They typically go, this ship is immediately flyable, bam, and we're unveiling it. Sort of like, they don't tell us about that concept phase. And if they do tell us about concept phase, like with the Shrike and the Talon, they're much more likely to go, here's a ship or vehicle, it's going to be available in your hands in the next couple of patches. That doesn't mean that's 100% what they're going to do forever, but that seems to be what they're doing much more than not now. There are a few other ships and vehicles that Cloud Imperium have in production or have hinted at, some of which, but certainly not all, could be in the game by the end of the year. So over the last few months, Cloud Imperium have mentioned the Hull C. It's supposed to be complete for its Squadron 42 needs, but there was a load of technical requirements to get it into the persistent universe, and we've been told that the remainder of these requirements should be being worked on now, and some of which should actually be complete by now. So the Hull C is something very possible that we could see pushed by the end of the year if it's within sort of Cloud Imperium's focus. And it looks like it might be, because they are having a bit of a focus on cargo ships and on that cargo gameplay, cargo decks, that sort of stuff. It is a big cargo ship. It's something they certainly want in the game. It's supposed to be quite common as a cargo ship as well, so they're probably quite keen to get it in. And some of the problems they were having were getting the sort of morphing physics grids, having cargo V2 because they want sort of like the iCache in and have less entities, larger cargo containers, things like that in game. So having loads of Hull Cs everywhere doesn't cause major server problems, things like that. The Redeemer. So the Redeemer was a ship that was built by, not by CIG staff, but by people that won the Next Great Starship competition, and it had to be fully reconcepted and brought up to date. We saw some of it in Invictus Fleet Week in May, just sort of like the updated externals. It's supposed to be more of a gunship now. I mean, it was a gunship dropship before, but it's much more gunship, apparently. So it hasn't changed that much in the way it looks. It's still have just been brought up to spec. Again, that could be a ship that could potentially make it into 2020. The Nova tank is supposed to be somewhat fast-tracked for the needs of theatres of war. This is a solid main battle tank I'm actually quite excited for. Also, it's supposed to go into the Hercules C2. Two of them are supposed to go in there. It's supposed to go in all of the sort of Hercules Starlifter series, whether it be C2, M2 or A2, but obviously two of them can fit in the C2. The Vulture is a light salvage ship that was on the roadmap before salvage was again pushed off. There's sort of visible features. Depending on the plans from Cloud Imperium again, it could reappear by the end of the year, I think. Maybe. Something else actually that's been suggested with work on Crusader ships is that, well, and they're working on the Major Landing Zone Crusader as well, is that other ships from the Crusader range, like the Genesis Starliner, like the Ares, they may well be being worked on at the same time, and it's quite possible, if they have the time, they'll put in the Ares or something like that by the end of the year. We do know that the Ares is a pretty simple, heavy fighter. We know that the Genesis is needed for moving around NPCs and players between planets via commercial flights, and sort of like helping with the physicalization and spawning of NPCs and moving them around, that sort of stuff. So quite important for the game. It's been suggested that the G12 rover is something relatively simple to get into the game in the shorter term. We'll have to wait and see exactly when that's going to come out, though. I haven't actually heard any rumors. Lots of people ask me about the Banu Merchantman or the Polaris coming out. The last time Cloud Imperium talked about it, they suggested, sort of very roughly, that the Polaris would be for the Banu Merchantman, but they haven't really given us any more of an inkling than that, really. We're sort of like have to wait and see. What I want to see, though, more than anything else in 2020, I think is Titan suits. These were supposed to be these sort of like heavy Iron Man power loader type armor that can carry a ship or vehicle-sized weapon, and you're going to be clomping around with these on the ground, maybe in structures, potentially on some of the larger ships. We don't really know where they are in development for the needs of the persistent universe. It's possible that they could get a bit more fast-tracking or prioritization because of theatres of war. And we do know that Cloud Imperium have previously R&D'd aspects of them. They've tried them out in sort of like white box phases in engine, messing around with them, but we don't really know where we are with them development-wise. But that's it for today. I'm relatively hyped for the Mercury Star Runner coming in 3.11, and I'm interested to see what Cloud Imperium can fit in by the end of the year with other ships and vehicles. Please please try and get Titan suits in. I think it's unlikely, but I suppose it's possible. And we could certainly see some other stuff that not even mentioned in this video turned up. As I said, there's potential straight-to-flyable ships and vehicles that maybe we don't even know about yet. But what do you think? What do you think we'll see ship and vehicle-wise by the end of this year, whether that be concepted, in-game, straight-to-flyable, or even just go into development? What do you think Cloud Imperium can fit in by the end of the year? What are you most hyped for ship or vehicle-wise? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For August, it's for a Mercury Star Runner, the sort of hybrid data running cargo ship that's supposed to be live and flyable in Alpha 3.11. To be in for a chance of winning that, all you need to do is comment on any of my Star Citizen videos made during August 2020. If you want to further support my channel, then consider becoming a YouTube member via the join button. This will also get you some exclusive content and insight each month. Also, if you're looking for a VPN, I shill for NordVPN. It's a mega affordable and effective solution for added security, privacy, and internet accessibility. Follow the link below in the description for a discount. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the verse.